random foreign film biopic that no one has seen and actually didn't even come out until, fucking September. So that it can be right out there for selection, like these movies are the ones that people are not talking about. So when you also have the conversation of what is highbrow and what is lowbrow, you also have to remember that we live in the United States. And a big part of the United States is packaging the outsider, taking something that was very much on the outside and kind of say castrate the movement, but it definitely turns it into something that the originators did not envision. And sometimes it's a good or a bad thing. We wouldn't have jazz if it wasn't for these highbrow. It was once defined as syncopated Negro music or syncopated jungle music, and they kept it alive. The blues. Yeah, the blues, kind of the same thing, we all remember when it was the coolest thing when Henry Winkler was playing Fonzie. Yeah, he's Jewish, but the definition of cool for a long time was pretending to be Italian, so a big part of it is what was then lowbrow and mindless. Give it a generation and now people are, jazz is the fanciest thing in the world, like this is supposed to be gutter music. Blues is supposed to be the music of the homeless, and instead now they're turning it into a champagne. Like it's not where it's supposed to be, but honestly it's where it's going to go. Like you could almost make the argument that that's going to happen to rap music too, because it's been firmly packaged. It's been firmly packaged and yeah, they have a formula for making pop music, and it definitely applies to rap music as well. And so
even an arc I was going to say even an arc in a career, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Artist has like a stage, and then there's the crossover with the country singer or what have you, and then what have you. Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I was thinking about when Josh was talking. Like, it's really a question of how long will it be before it's accepted and becomes the highbrow. Just if it's lowbrow, that just give it time. Just give it time. Like even the theater itself. An actor was one of the lowest people in society. Now they're millionaires, and everybody wants to be them. Like that used to be a massive sin to go to the theater because you weren't spending your time in church. It's like, I'm sorry, this is how I like my fantasy package. Like if I'm going to spend the next couple of hours listening to a story that's clearly bullshit, then I would rather go here. Right. Same thing with good old Charles Dickens. The Pickwick Papers were like the soap operas of the day. Like people would sit by, find the person that could read, and they would read the Pickwick Papers out loud. Like that was a big draw of those stories. Lord of the Rings. One of the reasons Lord of the Rings is paced the way it is because it's supposed to be read in a small chunk, before, for kids. So this part where they run into the spiders, and then we'll read the next part of it tomorrow. And it was important. But now Lord of the Rings is a massive billion-dollar property. So I think with most things reaching highbrow, it just takes time. It just takes time, especially as classes are risen up further and further. You have a lot of folk music and a lot of folk art suddenly becoming very highbrow, and most importantly, very, very valuable intellectual property.
That is the exact direction I would hope someone would take it in. And I think I got it. We're gonna, we got our busy days ahead of us here, we know, and we're not going to keep you too long here in brevity. But Rashawn, I think I have a way to make this all work for us. So go with me here, okay? You're in the gentleman's club. And I think we need to introduce this way, right? Let's see if I can hold this up close enough. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage, Candy Corn. Give it up for Candy Corn today.
Candy corn.
Candy corn taking center stage and Mocha Chocolate on the small
stage.
stage. Make sure to tip well, gentlemen. Take it on out tonight. I'm just saying, if this can one day, at one point, right? This is the overture from the Magic Flute, people. If this was at one point controversial and entertainment for the masses, and as well as jazz and all those things, maybe there's hope for the gentlemen.
Right, so a couple of things. Please don't get us sued. Like that's I'm not sure we can even play that. There might be some right issues on that. Second of all,
from Mozart, you're fine.
Mozart's public property. Yeah, at this point.
Yeah. Mozart, you're fine.
Hey, I'm saying we gotta pay attention. Oh, and look, I don't necessarily disagree with what you guys are saying and what you are saying. What I'm saying is you guys are missing a point. Like, for example, Lord of the Rings. We talk about Lord of the Rings because it's a memorable book that has lasted the time. It came out a long time ago. But are we really acting like no one else wrote fantasy books during that time? Like, clearly people wrote a lot of different books. We only focus on what rose up during the time. It's not a matter of what becomes accepted. It's a matter of what is accepted and what becomes accepted. So, for example, Josh just brought up Dune. The reason why Dune is doing well right now is because sci-fi is what is accepted. It was once lowbrow. Now it's of the highbrow situation. So the genre will switch. It's not the movies necessarily. Some do last the test of time. Those are technically the best ones out of that either period or genre that leaps into the next sort of stage. Dune is doing well because they approached it in a way that wasn't over the top sci-fi or over the top fantasy based. It was just basically kind of like a melodrama set thousands of years in the future. So yes, things had to be different. But when you look at Dune, if you miss a couple of scenes, you could argue you're watching a medieval picture. So a lot of people are able to sort of accept it and understand it. We're not talking about every freaking sci-fi movie. It was Dune that was done that way. It was the next highbrow sort of accepted thing. I totally agree with the Marvel thing, so I don't have much to say on that other than you're right. Other than, I don't know if it's an accepted thing, but you're right in the sense that we do not give them enough credit. That is a monumentous feat. That definitely needs to be repeated. But Chronicles Riddick and Riddick, sorry Dick Riddick, it's not going to be remembered. That's what I'm talking about. Like, it had maybe a chance to be remembered as like people look back and try to find these other sci-fi sort of properties in the same way we do. Like, every generation looks back to try to find more examples of what they like. Plenty of people read Lord of the Rings and like, what other fantasy was written during that time? And we're able to expand and find different things in different examples. So that's all I'm pointing out. It's not a matter of lowbrow, highbrow. It's a matter of those two movies fucking sucked. And they were, I mean, Greg put it the best way. He really put it the best way. It was basically Firefly and Aliens. Like, and I know in the Aliens part, that actually includes Pitch Black. But at least in that sense, they were doing their best to like be a different story. But once it became Firefly, it was like, yeah, that's what we're watching. We know we're watching Firefly.
Well, no, that's why also I made the connect, because I was trying to really think about like, who is his action predecessor? Like, is it Van Damme, Chuck Norris? Like, who's his action predecessor? And the reason I settled on Schwarzenegger is because when Schwarzenegger had to show no range, he did it. When he had, you handed him a script where he had like 5 lines, he was like, all right, and he would do it. And I think that Vin Diesel falls into that category too. If he's just grunting family over and over again, yeah, he will cash that fucking check, no question about it. You want me to say I am Groot? You're gonna pay me American money. I'm Vin fucking Diesel, and all you want me to say is I am Groot. Okay. All right, yeah. I mean, I'll do that. Yeah,
totally true. But there's a reason why both Schwarzenegger and Stallone had difficulty having success in the 90s. And you can argue outside of T2 and Last Action Hero, Schwarzenegger wasn't showing up and giving you the same money he was getting in the 80s. And part of that was because those movies in the 80s were iconic because they were set onto themselves. It wasn't a continuation of just watching Schwarzenegger just rode through. We came to see it, but it was actually also a different story each time. There was no different stories in these Vin Diesel things.
Were they though?
And
Yeah.
Were they though?
Look, think about it. Kindergarten Cop and Last Action Hero were both very different and unique stories in a lot of different ways, which is why they're iconic. Same.
I mean,
way.
the only one I would definitely put aside is like Conan and Last Action Hero. The rest of them, I'm not so sure.
Well,
Not
and
so
that's
sure.
where
Yeah.
I'm going to tie it all up, make it a neat bow to lead us all out today. Is when Rashawn, when you asked about comparable fantasy sci-fi of the era of Lord of the Rings, you have Conan and the Adventures of John Carter on Mars. So, right, written by the same man. So you have, is exactly that, right? You have something that has in its own weird way stood the test of time, but leads into a Riddick, right? That's the same kind of level. It's not a whole lot of thought. There's just enough world. I mean, there's just enough world building. Conan runs around and is a thief who becomes a king, and that's all you got there.
But there's a reason why we remember Conan the movie and not like Beastmasters. I mean, us nerds remember Beastmasters. But if you say Conan and Beastmasters out in the public, only few people are going to know Beastmasters. That's my point. Like, it's not the unique property that we're necessarily talking about. It's more genres that go up, and then the unique property is the example that people remember and reflect back on, and it's more of a touch point to sort of explore different things.
All right, I'm gonna tell you.
All right, Twyla, I see you in the background. Josh said he had to go. I'm the asshole keeping them. Please do not be mad.
I'm gonna say that you shut your whore mouth about Beastmaster. Let's just start there.
I said us nerds would know it. Shout out to Mark Singer.
Make
another V, man. Make another V.
Kids, find that movie. I saw it in the theater. God, that's one of the crowning achievements of my life. I'm sorry to say.
Who would have thought Tony Roberts would have been the first one dead out of that production?
That does surprise me. I'm not gonna lie. Well, Rip Torn did go before them all. So, and that's more. I mean, that was he was older.
40-year head start.
Right. Yeah. He was off the blocks a little sooner. But all right, we're bloody. We're battered, but I do believe we brought this theme today. I don't think there's any two ways about that. This was
better, Vin Diesel.
This was a good one. All right, Vin, you keep on Vinning, man. You keep on talking family.
I believe in you, man. Better.
Keep on saying I am Groot, and you make that for. I think he's pretty much I think he's like on GoFundMe right now to make the 4th Riddick movie, and you fucking go, man. I'll go see that shit.
It says a lot that a lot of people have lauded his performance as Groot as his best performance in a long time.
Hey, I am Groot. Apparently, he has a different meaning for every one of those. So, that man's a method actor. I don't care what you say. But
there was that, and I mean, there's kind of this movement of actors taking these, because you can take these kind of offbeat Ryan Reynolds is Rocket Raccoon. Why would you, right? Why wouldn't you have this Hollywood stud being
Bradley
Cooper? Yeah.
Bradley Cooper, yeah.
Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool, who wears a mask for most of the time. It's kind of a new thing, playing down your superstar good looks, but I think it's a good idea. I think you can have even more fun and gain more popularity doing that.
While we have you here, I want to ask you that favor that I ask you each week. Head on over to Apple Music or iTunes. Rate and review us. Give us 5 stars if you want to compliment our our downplaying our rock star good looks, faces made for radio and all. Please do so. It helps us climb the charts, helps us get the word out there, helps us push the steam forward and push forward that nefarious agenda that we're trying to do here and rule pop culture from the bottom up, from the top down, from the backwards to the forwards. We're going to take you out today. Rashawn, how you feeling batting lead up? How you feeling going into the weekend?
All right, listen, fuck my weekend. All right, look, Josh, you go ahead and edit some like sentimental music behind me when I'm about to say what I'm about to say. Maybe like talking to a guy maybe has to go to like whatchamacallit, rehab. So here I go. Listen, Vincent, Mr. Diesel, Mr. Dick B. Riddick. I
think
feel when I'm speaking to you and I'm reflecting on your career that